Hey everybody, I'm SK and welcome to another episode of the Haunting Grounds vlog. Today, before I talk about the props I'm working on, I wanted to touch base on a couple of things. Number one, I already tried doing this video once. It was a miserable failure. I left things out, I forgot things. It was just bad. So this is our second attempt at doing this week's vlog, and I've got Cody in the background over here helping out. And we'll see how it goes. Hopefully a little bit better than yesterday. Wanted to talk about my pumpkin garden. A couple of years ago we started planting pumpkins. Started small, had 10 or 15 plants each year, and got a few pumpkins out of them. Last year I set aside a large section of our backyard that we turned into a garden and planted the pumpkins. I had hoped to get most of the pumpkins, if not all of them, out of our own garden. So we planted about 40 plants, and they were growing well until they got hit by squash borers. And squash borers are a pest little insect that lay their eggs on the plant, and the larvae go and eat their way up through the stem of the plant and basically prevent it from getting any water and kill off the plant. Then they drop down into the soil and they sit there for the winter, and then they come back the next year. So we're not doing pumpkin plants this year. I'm gonna have to buy them just like everybody else, and unfortunately, since last year we ended up purchasing about 60 pumpkins for our haunt. It kind of sucks, but oh well, it is what it is. We'll get over it. Last week I talked about the Death's Head Tombstone that I'm working on. I showed you a little bit of the progress, cutting out the letters, cutting out the inscription. So unfortunately I didn't get as far as I would have liked to on this, but I did get the inscription finished. So that's where we are. The inscription is finished in that nice authentic looking font from way back in the 1600s. Unfortunately they don't have a font that you can just print out and make your own template, but I was able to enlarge our photo that I was working off of and use that as a template to cut out to get the right font for the inscription. I had originally hoped to be done at least this week or at least by this week with the lunette. That didn't happen. I hit a little roadblock. I can't find one of my necessary Dremel bits, so unfortunately this one made a standstill. But that's okay, because my mind works like a moth to the flame, and off we went to work on another project. I did get a little bit of work done on our groundbreaker. I know there's a lot of people who are interested in seeing the progress of this groundbreaker, and more specifically some of my techniques for the corpsing. So keep watching, and within the next couple of weeks I should have this guy ready to start corpsing. What I've done so far is I added some of the duct tape here, and what I'll do is I'll cover most of this with duct tape, and then a couple layers of paper mache. This area over here, that all this white stuff here, this is cheesecloth that's going to get a thin coat of paper mache with paper towels, because this is all going to be exposed bone, so I don't want to build this up too much. So hopefully maybe within the next 2 weeks we'll be able to start corpsing on this guy, and I'll show you guys some of my techniques. And that's where we are. Unfortunately, that's as far as we've gotten on any props this week. I had some unexpected overtime and some training classes to attend to at work. So not much to show as far as props. Hopefully next week will be better. And I've got Cody back here counting those ums. It's time for this week's, what's the word I'm looking for? This week's installment of What's in the Box. Each week we're going to take and crack open one of the boxes that I've got in storage of all my Halloween crap and just kind of take a look, get a little bit of inspiration for stuff to work on, and just kind of remind me of what I've got floating around here. So, Cody, if you bring me over my box.
Here is your box, sir.
Anybody need a teenager? Alright, here is our box for this week's What's in the Box. And since I did label this one, I know what's in here already. I just ripped this tape off so I'm not taping over tape later. This week's What's in the Box, we have more Walmart bags. Again, these things are great for packing material, so keep them. Let them clutter up your house. This week's What's in the Box, we have all of our witch potion jars. Witch potions, and actually not all of them. Actually, there's probably quite a few more sitting upstairs. But these are all little curiosities and ingredients for our witch house, which hopefully maybe this year, maybe next year we'll do again. And this is a real simple project. I think I've got a how-to on the website for these. It's just a glass jar. These ones were from pepperoncinis. My kids love pepperoncinis. So I buy lots of pepperoncinis and they provide me with lots of empty jars. The label is one that, this one here is one that we have on our website. Several other ones that we have on our website. Just print it out, rumple it up, rough up the edges, and glue it on. Wrap the top with some jute or some kind of twine. And there you have a bottle of swamp moss. And I will find just about anything to throw in these jars. So I have pixie brains, which are dried chickpeas. We have snake fangs, which are just some little rolled up pieces of that Sculpey clay. What else do we have? We've got a whole set of spice jars. We made a whole set of spice jars here. Caraway seeds, crushed mint. Crushed mint. Ooh, that smells good. That smells nice. Cody, smell that.
Minty.
That smells good. This is just an old set of spice jars that, an old spice set that we had laying around that we used what we normally use, and the leftovers, this is all stuff that we don't use. So I just went through and filled several spice jars, labeled them all, and this made a nice little addition to our witch house. This year, as part of our garden, we're actually going to be planting several different spices and jarring them ourselves for Christmas gifts. So maybe I'll come up with another set of labels for those. So we have a full set of, I think, what do we got here? 2, 4, 6, 12, 15 different spices. Winifred's snake oil. This is an A1 steak sauce bottle. Deadly Nightshade. And this is just minced up maple leaves, dried up maple leaves. I went out in the backyard, picked some maple leaves that fell off my neighbor's black maple, minced them up in a food processor and threw them in a jar. Graveyard dust. And that's just a bunch of dirt from my garden. Imp kidneys. Kidney beans. Like I said, I'll throw anything in a jar. Pulverized troll bones. This is cream of wheat. Yes, cream of wheat. We have forest gnome skeletons. That's just a bunch of little plastic. I think I got these at Michael's. Little plastic skeletons in some red dyed water. I hope that one doesn't break open. Twisted twigs. And that's just a bunch of, not a bunch of the pieces off of one of those brooms that I made. Werewolf fur, which looks a whole lot like wig hair. Oh, what do we have? Oh, this one got a lot of comments from parents visiting our haunt with their kids. Teeth of a liar. So kiddies, when you're sitting there telling your little fibs, remember the witch is like your teeth. Ogre dandruff. And that is just some modeling grass that I had left over from my model railroading days. Mustard seed. I think that puts us up to what, 16? 16 different spices. An empty jar of dead man's toes. These things go fast. Everybody loves these things. I don't know, my kids eat them like mad. An unlabeled jar full of cinnamon hearts. I don't know. Black magic beans. Whole thing of black beans. Coffin nails. And this one has a familiar ring to it. Eye of Newt. And those look like giant newt eyes. An unlabeled jar of coal. Some black forest lichen. And this was just another leftover piece of model railroad stuff. Lichens they use for imitation bushes in their miniature little worlds. And we have vampire blood. And this is just a little hot sauce bottle. So, that's it. We just emptied our witch's kitchen as part of what's in the box. So, before we end this this week's episode, some subscriber shout-outs. I have 4 new subscribers. Devil's Gate Cemetery, thanks for subscribing. Northrad, thanks for subscribing. Great job on that wagon. That thing looks really looks great. FF Looks at 40 and Mr. Ninjalo, thank you for subscribing. One last thing before we end the show. Special little shout out. I was watching an old episode of Steve's Haunted Yard, the Yard Hunter 5's vlogs, and I spotted an idea that I thought was perfect. And that would be, I'll take our little camera over here. That would be The whiteboard. Yes, what a perfect way to list all the stuff that I need to get done so I can keep my attention on what I should be doing and stop wandering to new projects that really shouldn't be done. So this is what we have coming up, hopefully to get finished this year. We've got the Death Head Tombstone, which is in the works, and the Groundbreaker, which is well in the works. I want to make another witch, a sister to this young lady here, who by the way is single, if anybody's interested. She's looking for a mate. She's looking pretty good, I'll tell you. She a little green, but that's alright. So I haven't decided yet, but I'm not sure if I want to give her a sister or if I want to try a hag raven. So anybody who's interested and wants to give me their input, should I do a witch or should I do a hag raven? And if you don't know what the hag raven is, take a look at, do a Google search for hag raven Skyrim, S-K-Y-R-I-M. Skyrim is a video game that my kids are playing, and a hag raven is a nasty little witch that wouldn't really fit as alongside the other witches that I want to do, but she is not a pleasant looking character. I want to get started on a 3-axis skull, and I want to get a flying crank ghost done, and the hot glue attachment. Hey, there's a better view, huh? Look at that. The hot glue attachment for our web shooter, because I'm sick and tired of dealing with those bags of spider web. So I went out, got myself a new glue gun, and hopefully we'll get started on something like that. So that's all for this week. I'm SK. Until next. Thanks for watching. Thank you.